some success in the second round, and a lot of guys, you know, are rotation players. You know, hopefully that continues.
As deep as this draft is, when you got guys like Taylor and DJO that were like first-team All-Conference, first-team All-American players, that does lead to one to believe that you can find somebody in the second round at that level.
Yeah, we're hopeful. We're hopeful. We have a number of kids that we're really interested in at that pick, and some of them are here today.
What do you really get out of these workouts? Because you guys do all your research primarily on tape, other than maybe a differentiation between the guys on the floor, certain things that you may be looking for, practice habits, things like that?
Yeah, great question. A lot of them, we have targeted certain things that we need to see from them, and then there are those that we're not quite as familiar with, and that we kind of want to get a level for their competitiveness, how they're going to respond to fatigue, how they're going to interact with the other guys, pick up drills. So it varies player to player, but we're kind of looking for different things from each kid.
Does that still apply with a guy like DJO and Jordan Taylor that you've probably seen numerous times?
Not at all. Those kids obviously we're more familiar with, and we know their strengths and weaknesses, which aren't to say that we're not looking for certain things out of them too, but they may be different from other kids who we may be looking for a broader skill set there, just to kind of wash over us a little bit.
Can you say any surprise out of this today, if there was any, and then if you could just maybe go down through the guys a little bit, maybe start with Chris Johnson or Chris Josepher and then go through them.
Sure. I mean, you know, there are seldom surprises, Charles. You know, usually we have a general handle on who the kid is and what we're kind of looking for and expecting. And obviously there may be certain surprises to elements of their game that I can't share, but no, generally no shockers. Right? Okay. Yeah.
Right. You know, just go down a little bit. Go like say Chris Joseph with Syracuse. What you see with him? And
unfortunately with Chris, you know, he had tweaked his groin.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the one player not fully able to go today, so he did most of the drills. He gutted it out and showed a high skill level that we know he has. Some of the drills he was not able to participate
Couldn't do everything. Well, that was kind of, but maybe you'll see him in Chicago as well.
Yeah, he's going to. He spoke to him after. He's planning on being in Chicago.
Right.
And not Jeff. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want him to go down through the guys if he doesn't mind. I always ask him to do that. Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson was good. Listen, these kids are here because they're good. Yeah. And there's no one who you're going to say, what about this kid? And I'm going to say, well, he wasn't good today. No, they're good players. And Chris Johnson is a good player.
His shooting is supposed to be
yeah, he shot the ball well today. He's a good athlete. He's got good size. He competed hard. He played very well in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And so I think he was regarded generally as a solid guy this portion of the draft and helped himself there.
Yeah.
And he's certainly
in this portion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And did well today.
And did well. What about DJO and Taylor? I'm sure people are wondering about that.
Yeah, you know, that's the beauty of these things is like the fans here know them as well as we do. So, you know, they're winners. I mean, how else can you say it? You know, they're highly competitive kids. They've each got kind of different issues that we're kind of looking to see how would they respond to certain elements of a workout. But the bottom line is those are monster competitors. They're winners. They care about their teammates, and they're about all the things that you know we're trying to be about.
What about the Pac-10 guys? And there's two Pac-10. One's a junior, one's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Cunningham and Roten.
Correct. And it's funny because you think those guys are probably sick of seeing each other.
Right.
But each of them had a huge impact on their own team this year. Right. So obviously Oregon State this year probably didn't have the success that Washington had, but Jared Cunningham was one of the most athletic players in the draft. Very good defender, yes. And so for us we wanted to see how he shot standstill jumpers, and he acquitted himself well today. Yeah, did a good job. Roten is big strapping point guard, very young guy, freshman, and lives at the free throw line, and he exhibited all of that physical ability today. He's a very aggressive player, gets to the rim. You know, he's going to have to continue to show. He shot well in the spot shooting today. Yep, but that's where he's going to have to continue to go around to the teams and impress with that part of it. And no one's looking for him to be the best shooter in the NBA. No. He's just got to be able to kind of hold water there because the rest of his game is pretty strong. So between all those guys, it was a very competitive workout. It was a good one. And they're all very competitive, aggressive guys, very good defenders. So it was a very heated workout.
And Jeff, granted, it's only one day, so we shouldn't take it and run with it. But was there somebody that kind of stood out a little bit, or somebody that really looked impressive?
There were a couple guys, without kind of divulging too much, there were a couple guys that I'm sure will be deep into our discussions when draft day rolls around at 42. Yeah.
Days like this are beneficial.
Oh, tremendously beneficial. And some of these kids, you know, aren't coming in at 42. They're looking at other parts of the draft, and I can't say who projects to go where, but you know, there are certain players that we would even look at here and say, look, if we were to move down in the draft from 12 or up from 42, maybe that player could be there. He might not be at either one of these picks. So we're trying to get ourselves familiar with as much of the draft as we can, and that's where the push-pull comes in, about trying to bring in as many players as you can. And some of the agents want to see that trade or that move made before they're willing to sacrifice one of their workout days. So we were fortunate to have a good group today.
To get these guys. How big is the factor of size in the backcourt for you guys, Jeff, as you're going forward, thinking about it? We know you've got a smaller starting backcourt now with Brandon and Monte. Explosive, could be one of the best in the league perhaps, but I know there's a concern to get a little more size in there to help them out.
Yeah, well, you know, always size at any position is something that you want, but at the end of the day, it's about the productivity of the player. If a smaller player can get the job done, then I'd rather have that guy than a guy who's got size but can't get it done. So obviously, as a tiebreaker, as another element to the equation, certainly that we'd love to do that, but we're not going to try to pick a player just based on that solely.
Okay.